You're up, folks. Okay, we always thought that children were off limits, didn't we? Kids were off limits, right? This fine gentleman entered a camp on an island. There isn't anyone in this room that doesn't know about it. I don't have to spend that much time on this. He slaughtered children. He slaughtered them. This was just a year ago. He did it because he didn't like Muslims. So it doesn't matter which way it goes. 6 hours before the attacks, he posted on YouTube, urging conservatives to embrace martyrdom and pointing a gun. Why is social media important? So we're not just talking today about all these horrible, horrific incidents that have taken place. Trust me, I am going somewhere with this. There will be a nexus. Extremist groups using media. I don't know how many of you actually track hate rock or know about hate rock. We talk about another media. We know Twitter, we know Facebook, we know social media. For those of you that don't know what hate rock is, let me tell you. I'm an old guy, way into my mid-50s, and I grew up on rock and roll, and I loved rock and roll. So I was not one of those. I mean, my dad chased me around and said, "Hey, you're going to go brain dead with Led Zeppelin." This is not anti-music. I'm not being anti-music. I love music. I grew up on it. My daughter's a singer. But I will tell you that this is dangerous stuff. This is music whereby literally the lyrics are to kill, to murder, and maim. And there is a ripe audience of disenchanted, disaffected. The neo-Nazi movement has effectively and beautifully leveraged this medium. And I will tell you for a fact that when the walls were up, the Berlin Wall 2 decades ago, and kids couldn't talk to each other, the Stasi, the best intelligence services were monitoring what people were saying and people were doing. The message of hate was ringing across those walls through this music. And when the wall came down, this second surge of Nazism started 2 decades ago. There were demonstrations in Poland and in Germany, in East Germany, in East Berlin. There were demonstrations in Czechoslovakia because the music was very effectively being used by white supremacists and neo-Nazis, almost like the way that the Native American, and this is not a, believe me, this is not a, but the way that people communicate, they were using this as an effective way to communicate. Okay? Central role in supremacist movement, one of the most significant ways neo-Nazis attempt to attract people, and it is global. The neo-Nazi groups are German. The neo-Nazi groups are Czechoslovakian, are Serbian, are Croatian. They record this music, and this music links the movement internationally. So you will see lyrics of some of this music at crime scenes. I have had investigators call me and say, "What's this, this, and this?" I go, "It's a song from a group called Screwdriver." No kidding. Yeah, it's a song. They didn't know that. So now it's important because it actually became a part of, or an element of a crime scene. One of the things I am very proud of, in my old days, I was involved in an international investigation because hate crimes was one of the divisions I was responsible for, or one of the units I was responsible for. And we found out through an undercover that in Philadelphia, German nationals were coming to Philly. They were hiring studios. They were hiring young musicians to play this Nazi music. The young kids didn't know what they were doing, and they were bringing it back to Germany and distributing it worldwide. Now it's legal, but in Germany it was not legal. You cannot do this overseas. So what does it mean? Well, we couldn't do anything about it here, but because we were savvy enough to understand what they were doing, we were able to provide the information to the German government. The German government took down the largest white supremacist music studio in the world, a place called Rockorama in Brühl, West Germany. We're very proud of this. We were very intimately involved in it. And when they took it down, they not only took out records and CDs, machine guns, hand grenades, bombs. Stormfront, internet-based hate crime. Stormfront is one of the largest, most savvy enterprises in the world. I don't want to give them too much credit. There are some very savvy adults that use the Stormfront, the logo. as the way for young people worldwide to communicate with each other and to share information with each other via the internet. Stormfront are also a neo-Nazi racist group. You'll hear a little bit more about them in minutes to come. Internet-based hate crime. Are we talking about hate crime or are we talking about terrorism? Folks, hate crime is terrorism. It's ethnic terrorism. If Jewish people or Asian people or African Americans or gays or whites are attacked because of their ethnicity, the color of their skin, and on, and that's the sole motivation, what does it do to a community? If one person in a community is attacked outside of a house of worship, does not the whole community suffer the consequences of that? We're not talking about a mugging. A mugging people deal with, you know. Even got, you know, and I'm not belittling a homicide people deal with. But when you attack someone void of motivation other than hate, that's terrorism. So we get kind of stuck on, is a hate crime a terrorist attack? It is. And a lot of the groups involved in hate crimes their goal is to instill terror. Some are sophisticated, and some are just done by, I'll tell them to turn it off again, and I'll use the word I used before. All right? Social networks. We talked about this. The attack on youth in Norway influenced by ideologies finding voices online. Reports have indicated an increase in member groups. You all can pretty much read this. Social media has been hailed as the catalyst for success for our Middle East revolutionaries. Nations are falling and rising based on social media, the use of social media. That's a good thing in some cases. In many cases, it's not such a good thing. And we, in the business, need to understand it, and within a certain realm, and ensuring that we don't cross, I'm sure there's attorneys in here, that we don't cross any lines, social justice is an invaluable tool for us as well on being able to monitor these things within our own Constitution. And I mean that. We can't cross the line. Take a look at this. English Defense Force. 50 to 100,000 online presence in social networks. These are the numbers. Presence of extremist groups on the internet. It's an alarming pace. I want you to take a look at 1995 and take a look at 2009. Those are extremist groups. And by the way, I don't think there has been an extremist or a homegrown terrorist that's been arrested in this country, I don't think, that has not somehow been influenced by social media in one form or another. This is why. Easy access, little or no regulation, censorship, or other governmental control. And we're not calling for that, believe me. Huge audiences spread throughout the world. The last two pretty much speak for themselves. There's never been a better time in history to spread the word or the message, particularly that calls for hate or instilling terror upon others. I'll go through this real quick. These are some of the things that we all know that the Internet's used for. Influence public opinion, direct control over content, chat rooms, they post messages. There's been a real thin line between what is a threat and what is not a threat, and we will talk about that in a few minutes. This is just some more stats, but I think they're important. Of 157 extremist sites sampled, majority contained external links to other sites. They are talking to each other. The racist groups, the ultra-right, they are talking to each other. When I use the term ultra-right, I am not referring to the right wing here in the United States. The ultra-right we're referring to as white supremacists or groups in Europe that spew hatred and bigotry. We're not talking about it from a political context. I want to be clear on that. Right wing, left wing, that's not the context when I refer to that. Over a third contained Mein Kampf, Protocols of Zion, and the Turner Diaries. How many of you in this room know what the Turner Diaries are? Let me tell you. That building of ours that blew up in Oklahoma City, McVeigh planned that right out of that book called the Turner Diaries, almost page by page. And we didn't even have the internet back then. Not that anybody would admit to. Other examples, these are just some of the examples that I'm sure you're all aware of. The word inspire. How many times have all of you now heard of some individual in the United States, a homegrown terrorist, that is inspired. Now they're inspired by, influenced by. That is a term that you're going to hear more and more these days. That does have significance. You do not have to be a member of a homegrown terrorist group to be motivated to kill in the name of whatever ideology you believe in. If you are inspired, that is significant because it does tell us from the investigative standpoint what you're thinking, what targets you may be thinking about. Unfortunately, the bad news is we do work very closely with the Jewish community that in probably 60% of all cases here in the New York area where we had individuals that wanted to kill soldiers, blow up a recruiting station, blow up cops, unfortunately the Jewish community has been in the sights better than 60% of the time. And they're inspired. They say that they've been inspired. And that's both the white supremacists as well as the jihadists. This is another magazine that's come up and is very, very, by the way, these are beautiful publications. Beautiful pictures, well done, very professionally done, very eloquent, very eloquent. And these are very widely read. It's published online, Abdallah al-Bajadin. It's disseminated as a PDF. It's out there. This is Al-Qaeda Airlines is one of the new ones out there that is being read pretty widely. YouTube, I have to tell you, this really YouTube is amazing. It's a paradigm changer. It literally, though, has become a place that has motivated people to kill. No one, again, says that it should be removed from websites, it should be censored in any way. It is a tool for the investigative side of the House and for you all to watch very, very closely. It does tell a story if you're involved in a particular investigation. Facebook, that's an interesting quote. According to DHS, they have been sharing informational operation to target, recruit, and radicalize. Facebook, we know, has 500,000 members. Probably, that was yesterday. As of today, there's probably another 500,000. It's just growing very rapidly. But Facebook is, in fact, used very heavily by those in the operational stages. Twitter, you all know about Twitter. American military concerned about microblogging. These are new terms. Speaks for itself, already used by members to post and or support extremist ideologies and perspectives. So these are the primary, ladies and gentlemen, these are the primary tools of social media for those extremists both on the ultra-right and those that are spewing jihadist ideology. We all know Mr. Alaki, who is no longer with us. He was an inspiration to many, continues to be an inspiration to many. He used and maximized the internet unlike any other. He got it, he leveraged it, and the underwear bomber, as well as the four-hood shooter, there were lives lost as a direct result to some of the information and the ideology that allegedly inspired others to act in a way that led to the deaths of innocent human beings. Adam Gadan, he's still out there, aka, well, Adam Perlman, an American. He very savvy. He began using the internet to research different religions and decided that he wanted to shift from Judeo-Christianity, which I understand he was a member of both, or his family was both Jewish and Christian, and converted to Islam. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's everyone's right. However, unfortunately, Mr. Gaddam decided that he was going to choose a type of ideology that did not have a lot of room for others. And he continues to this day. I'm sure that someday he will be brought to justice. Hassan, you know the story of Hassan, who was screaming Allahu Akbar as he opened fire.